In 2017, the Jacksonville Jaguars were one of the best teams in the NFL, making it all the way to the AFC Championship with an elite defense, second in sacks, second in points allowed, and this team was on fire. They had Jalen Ramsey, Calais Campbell, and so many other good guys on that team. Fast forward to today, 2025. This team just suffered through one of the worst seasons in the NFL. And today we're going to be exploring the rise and fall of the Jacksonville Jaguars. In 1995, the Jacksonville Jaguars were introduced to the NFL. This was their first season in the league, and they went 4-12. While it wasn't impressive, there was hope. And that hope turned out to actually be something. Because in the 1996 NFL season, the Jacksonville Jaguars went 9-7 and snuck their way into the playoffs. And while nobody expected it, this team reached the AFC Championship before falling to the New England Patriots. And by the 1999 season, this was a feared team in the league, having a 14-2 record, which was the top team in the NFL. But that year also ended the same way. They lost in the AFC Championship game in 1999 to the Tennessee Titans. Now, you would think with all of this playoff success, making it to the AFC Championship, this team only has good things in the future. But if you thought that, you'd be incredibly wrong. Now, heading into the 2000s, we are heading into just a little bit of some slump years for this team. 2000s, mediocrity, few playoff runs, nothing too special going on right now. Nevertheless, this was one of the fastest growing teams in NFL history, and this team had the potential to just be dominant for the rest of their time in the league. After drafting Blaine Gabbert, who was a certified bust in 2009, about in 2013 to 2016, this was rebuilding time for this Jaguars team. And nobody would believe it coming, but there was potential, and it started to show. For the past 4 years, this team had been one of the worst teams in the NFL, worst team in probably NFL history, because they just didn't have that kind of connection with new quarterbacks, new ownership, new head coaches. Everything kept changing around them. But in 2017, something extremely unexpected happened, and nobody saw it coming. They were called the Jacksonville Jaguars. They had the second best defense in the league with 55 sacks and 33 takeaways. Players like Jalen Ramsey, Calais Campbell, and many other guys on their secondary and defensive line that just came together and made this team who they were this season. But team success, we'll get into that right now. But before we talk about overall success, let's just look at this offense. Blake Bortles at quarterback. Nothing too special, but this guy was just good enough to keep this team afloat. Leonard Fournette at running back, a rookie running back who had a promising 1,000-yard season. This team looked okay. Through all their adversity throughout the past years, this team actually finished 10-6, first place in the AFC South that year, which doesn't seem like much, but when they got to the playoffs, that's when they really started to shine. Wild card game against the Buffalo Bills. They won this game, 10-3. A gritty matchup, a lot of defense, but this team came up with the W, which not many people were expecting. A little bit more background on this year. The Steelers, one of the biggest contenders for the Super Bowl. That's who this Jaguars team was facing in the divisional round. All right, and this team went into this as one of the heavy favorites, the Steelers. The Steelers were heavy favorites in this game. The Jaguars had little to no chance to win this. But what did they do? They shocked the world. 45-42. The Jacksonville Jaguars had one of the biggest shootouts in these playoffs to go to the AFC Championship and face Tom Brady's Patriots. Now, this team has been known for falling off right at that AFC Championship, as we've seen through the past history of this team. But what happens in this one may shock you. In the fourth quarter, the Jacksonville Jaguars had a 20-10 lead on Tom Brady's Patriots. But this team has been known for comebacks. And even though the Jaguars ended up losing that game 24-20, the respect that came out of this NFL season for them was unreal. And the future was looking bright for Jacksonville once again. But as we saw from the 1900s to the 2000s, it didn't always go as planned for them. But nevertheless, in the 2018 season, there was a lot of hope for this team. And they started the 2018 season with a 3-1 record. And they embarrassed the New England Patriots in Week 2, with Blake Bortles throwing for 377 yards. But after that 3-1 start, everything fell apart. this team went on a losing streak. And not just any losing streak. This team lost 7 straight games. And they ended this 2018 season not in the playoffs, not even close to the playoffs, 5-11. And I should mention that Blake Bortles fell off this season, benched by week 13. And their star defensive player, Jalen Ramsey, was beefing with the coaches, teammates, and many others in his locker room, which did not bring a good tone to this team. In 2019, this team signed Nick Foles to a 4-year deal, hoping that he was the answer at quarterback. He was injured at week 1 of this season. Rookie quarterback Gardner Minshew came in to save the day with Minshew Mania, and it just never went as planned, honestly. And at this point, their defense was just bad. They were giving up so many yards per game, and Jalen Ramsey wasn't happy with the team. It was looking like he was going to be out of there any time. The offense wasn't looking good either. This team regressed again, finishing the season off at 6-10. In 2020, this team hit rock bottom. They finished their season 1-15, but there was hope because there was a quarterback named Trevor Lawrence, and they had the number 1 overall pick in this year's draft. Forgot to mention this though. They had hired what is now known as one of the worst head coaching hires ever. They got Urban Meyer, who brought promise to the team at that point, but now we see that didn't work out. Nevertheless, the Jaguars got their guy, Trevor Lawrence, with the number 1 overall pick, looking like one of the best quarterbacks in that class, which was stacked with good talent back then, where they had Mac Jones, Zach Wilson, those guys who looked amazing coming out of college. But could he do something in the NFL? Could Trevor Lawrence bring this team back from the dumps? There was hope because they also had signed a new running back, Travis Etienne, but in the preseason, he was injured, and his season was over. Urban Meyer was one of the worst head coaches that season, disrespecting players, benching players, disrespectful to staff, many other things, and this team had a terrible year. 3-14 this season. Going into 2022, there was very little hope. Until they signed a new head coach, Doug Peterson, who looked to be just what this team may have needed to make the next step and maybe find themselves back in the playoffs. But by week 10, they were 3-7, and things didn't look too good. But they finished this season with a winning streak that lasted a lifetime. They won 5 straight to go 9-8 that season and make it to the playoffs, which is exactly what they needed to turn this franchise around. In the wild card, though, first half's over. You're down 27-0. This game is supposedly done. Your team is not coming back from this. But then we witnessed one of the greatest comebacks ever, and the Jacksonville Jaguars won this game, 31-30. Something out of a movie, something out of a TV show, something out of NFL history was changed, with the Jaguars winning a playoff game, heading to the divisional round to face the Kansas City Chiefs. But they lost, as many expected. But going into next year, there was hope, and that's all Jaguars fans needed. And they started the season 8-3. They were having an amazing year, but then they lost 5 of the 6 of their last games, and then the season was gone, just like that. They missed the playoffs at 9-8. Going into next year, nobody really knew what the Jaguars were going to look like. Still with Trevor Lawrence at quarterback, having some injury issues that year, but still. And now we're at 2024, where this team went 4-13. They done work this offseason, though. New running backs, a good draft. They got Travis Hunter. Trevor Lawrence's future is uncertain. The team's future is definitely uncertain. Firing Trent Baalke, firing Doug Peterson. The team's blowing it up again. But honestly, for me, I have hope for this team. And so does my friend, AFKJ2385. One of the only Jaguars fans I've ever met, and a good friend of mine. Go check out his YouTube channel, where he will be posting, hopefully, some Jaguars content this year. I know he has hope for the season, and I think that this team could definitely make a push for the playoffs, but this team could also definitely be at the bottom of the league. It's just honestly how things play out with their new head coach, stolen from the Buccaneers. to go to Duval. They got him. But yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. This is the first kind of video where it's like not really talking about specific stuff. I really focused on the Jaguars in this video, and I enjoyed it. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys in the next one. Bye.